Well, thank you, Governor Wilder, who has much better boots than I have. I appreciate your leadership, and all of us do during tough economic times in Virginia. And you did that without raising taxes, which was something that I admired a lot. And in fact, I did keep on Paul Timmerick and his finance team when we came in, because times were still tough, and we shared some of those same goals, even though we're not in the same party all the time. At any rate, it's great to be with so many governors, listening to their records, and this truly is a historic evening to have all the governors together talking about what they've done, the great history that was made. Governor Holton, for those of us who are younger, didn't know those days, and I always look at you as the governor when my father brought the Redskins to Virginia, and you said they were the Virginia Redskins, so you're the first governor I knew in Virginia. Now, Bob Gibson asked all of us to talk about a legacy accomplishment from our service as governor, and I thought that I should talk about economic development and how we would say that Virginia is open for business. It's an idea that actually I remember watching or hearing from Tom Davis in Fairfax County. I said, that's a good idea. Let's use that for Virginia. For it. And I was elected in 1993 on an audacious agenda. We wanted, and we were able to accomplish many of those promises. We abolished parole, put in truth in sentencing in Virginia, reformed welfare, put in high academic standards and accountability in our schools, and also reduced the size and the reach of government. A lot of the things that you did, Governor Wilder, we kept pushing to reduce the size of state government and make it more efficient. But I also wanted to make sure Virginia was on the field of competition, to get investment and jobs. All of us think Virginia is a great place. Folks in North Carolina and South Carolina think they're great places as well. And we need to make Virginia more competitive through the country and North America, and for that matter, the world. And we got about, in a very focused way, accomplishing as much as we could of these promises. And we were able to accomplish all of these things I just talked about, and that was with the Democrats in the majority in the General Assembly. And so you had both parties, actually. Not that it was easy all the time dealing with some of the folks in the General Assembly. Bob, you were in the House of Delegates in those days, and we did have to get things done. And when you're governor, you only have 4 years, only 4 short years, and you can't afford to waste any time. And now the concept of Virginia's open for business is more than just a promotional advocacy exhortation. Every governor has to make priorities, and the most important thing is your time. What are you going to do with it? And the number one claim on my time as governor was economic development and recruiting jobs into Virginia, and I really enjoyed doing it. And one of my best days as governor, I remember we were in Manassas, Prince William County, where Toshiba and IBM had joined together, and they were building a nearly $2 billion semiconductor fab, the first one in Virginia. It didn't have to go to Austin or Chandler, Arizona, or somewhere. It's going to be in Virginia. And you had the East and the West, IBM of the East and IBM of the West and Toshiba of the East together, building this most up-to-date semiconductor fab in a place not too far away. The North and South were fighting about 100 and some odd years previously, and that was a great historic day, I thought, for Virginia. Now, in any endeavor, you need to assemble good people, a good team. Bob, you've done it with Secretary Cheng and the folks you have, Connaughton and others in your cabinet. We brought in an outstanding person in Bob Skunda, who had the blueprint that he talked about with the Virginia Chamber of Commerce. We recruited away from South Carolina their economic development leader, because I admired so much what South Carolina was doing. We also had a built-in advantage, and that was my wife, our First Lady of Virginia at that time, Susan, who was wonderful in promoting tourism. I could be in Wolfsburg talking to the Volkswagen folks, but she would be talking to folks in Germany about how important or how good it would be to come to Virginia. We put together a really great team, and in fact, Site Development Magazine said we had one of the top 10 economic development organizations. Secondly, what you need to do in addition to having that team is you need to have a game plan. You need to make sure you have the right conditions precedent to make your state more competitive, or any organization more competitive for investment and jobs. And we cut taxes by over $600 million. We put a lot of money into that rainy day fund that you started, Governor Wilder. We cut the taxes on small businesses, created the Major Business Facilities Tax Credit. We doubled the number of enterprise zones where you have prompter permitting and less taxes. You end up with more investment and more jobs and more revenue. We streamlined regulations. We did a whole regulatory review of all state regulations, make sure they're the most efficient possible. And in Virginia government, you say, why are you doing these regulations this way? Oh, we've done it this way forever. Yeah, but why? Well, since Governor Godwin, we did it that way. And that's not the answer. Find out better, more efficient ways of doing it. After that review of regulations, 75% of the regulations in Virginia were either amended or eliminated. Only 25% that stayed the same. Governor McDonald is doing that again. Because I guarantee you, 12 years later, there's much better ways of doing it. There's new innovations, more efficient ways of doing things. And in fact, our cabinet was called the Competitiveness Cabinet, because everyone had to look at how can we make Virginia a better place for investment. Safe neighborhoods matter. Businesses want to be locating in safe communities. Having good schools, a well-educated, skilled workforce matters, and that's why education efforts mattered. And whether it's community colleges or right here in Richmond, we started the engineering school at VCU, and they're focused on microelectronics. They have the most up-to-date clean room. We put in Teletechnet at Old Dominion University. The Prince William campus of George Mason is a big help. The Smart Road is still doing a great job in research at Virginia Tech. The Southwest Virginia, as well as Roanoke Higher Ed centers matter. What Chuck Robb was talking about with the space shuttle coming in, we put money, found money. Ask Timrick, find the money so that Virginia gets the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, because we wanted it here, and that's where that space shuttle is actually going to be stationed, right there at Dulles Airport, and that'll be good for tourism. People will want to come and see it. And indeed, partnerships, teamwork. Teamwork's the key in economic development. You can't do it alone as a governor. You need a team, and even the state can't do it alone. You need support at the local level, working with the private companies. And in this building we're in right now, this Greater Richmond Convention Center, John Hager, you're hounding me endlessly on this as governor, but it's not just us, the state put money into this, but it was a partnership with the counties, the city, hotels, and all pitching in for this convention center that we're in right now. And so this is an example of the teamwork you need to succeed in economic development. We were eventually called the Silicon Dominion, and probably where I recognize the transformation really occurred was when computer memory chips, none of which were manufactured before we got the semiconductor fabs into Virginia, but when semiconductor memory chips were the #1 manufactured export from Virginia, surpassing cigarettes. For the first time ever, I said, all right, that is a transformation in Virginia. And what gets measured does get better. You do have to measure, you have to have accountability. We had a goal of 125,000 new jobs. Over 300,000 net new jobs were created in those 4 years. And all those numbers matter, but really matters is I remember a fellow in Southwest Virginia, superintendent in schools, when we recruited a business into his county, said, this is just wonderful. This is an answer to my prayers. I go to bed every night praying that jobs will come here to our county so that my children do not have to move away. And so that business coming in, that investment, was an answer to his prayers. And that's what matters. That's the great thing about economic development, is improving people's lives. Heck, I ran into a woman last night who's working at Oracle, and the East Coast campus we recruited in. She must have been a little girl when that was the case, but she has a job there, that Oracle East Coast campus. And so that's the meaning of economic development. It's not numbers, it is lives that are improved. Opportunities for people to get jobs where their family and their heritage and their roots are. And so all of those are really good lessons, I think, that if you have purposeful focus on economic development, that's what we need for our country. I think as a country, we need to understand what we can learn from Virginia. Lower taxes, more affordable electricity and energy, right to work laws, a well-educated population. Then we can, as a country, send a message to the world that America is open for business again. And that's the attitude we need to take. We need a government that'll get our country moving and people having the opportunities to achieve their dreams. So it was an honor. anybody who's been governor of Virginia, it's the greatest honor that could be bestowed on anyone. You're treated way better than you ought to be, but it is an opportunity to improve people's lives. And with a team effort from our administration, local governments, the private sector, and a lot of caring people, we did make Virginia a safer and more prosperous place for people to live, learn, work, and to raise their families. And so I thank you all for that honor on behalf of Susan and the whole A team. And so it is my pleasure to present to you the 68th governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, my friend and all our friend, Jim Gilmore. Governor.